And here we are. Sierra, welcome today. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having this conversation with me. So, I love to start with fun facts. So a fun fact about you is, and I didn't know this until we were communicating on LinkedIn, that you like to play with wigs, and you have a lot of them, right?
Yep, I have a fair number of wigs. Yep.
And so, what types and colors do you have?
I really like natural and curly hairstyles. I used to dye my hair a lot, but I've kind of like just stopped that. So I have anywhere between like some that have hints of purple, some that are like honey and brown. I just like, I guess you could say like the different just hairstyles that I can do without like either jeopardizing my hair or just like experimenting with my own hair. So I think it's
I
cool.
You've inspired me because I had one that
Mhm.
somebody had given me. It was beautiful, um, red long hair. I called it the Svilvanta, sort of Svilvanta wig or something. This is a Russian wig. It was like
Mhm.
really cool. But I love your curls. I've always been jealous of those curls. So,
Thank
but
you.
what you're telling me is you can do it. I could go buy myself a hairstyle that looks similar to yours.
Oh,
That'd be
absolutely. Yeah.
awesome.
There's so much variety nowadays. I mean, you can be Teresa one day and Yolanda the next. So
And
it's
so,
fun.
do you change your name with your wigs too, or not?
In my head, I do because I don't want to like
Okay,
confuse my coworkers or anything. But like, I'm like, this is Yolanda, this is Keisha, and whatever. So I just think it's fun. It
it
very
is
much
fun.
gets you excited for the day because you can
Yeah,
be a
it is
different
really fun.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look because you gave me some resources to go see if I can play around with some wigs. So,
Yeah.
I'm super interested to do that. So let's dive into breaking barriers. And I mean, I that your posts are fantastic, by the way. I love seeing what you post and how you serve it up. When did you trip over or recognize that you had skills to breaking down barriers or that was important? How did that happen and why?
Um, how did that happen? I'm fairly new still to LinkedIn. I just
Mhm.
made my actual account January of this year. So
Nice.
when I was like roaming through LinkedIn and just looking at everybody's profiles, I mean, I don't know, it just seemed like some people were like more outgoing and then some people were like more straight to the books and professional. And I really just had to build an image where I want to still be myself on this platform, but I also want to help other people. And there
Mhm.
are a lot of barriers, not just to breaking into tech, but just for Black women in general, and then just women in general in a male dominated field. So I just want to make sure that was definitely um, I guess something that I really wanted to like showcase and also like be about it. So if I say that I'm breaking down technological barriers, then that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to show people. So maybe it can one day encourage, motivate, or uplift them to do the same.
Mm. I love that, and I love that you're purposeful about your branding too, because there are a lot of people that don't have that mindset. So the
Mhm.
fact that you've got that mindset as far as your brand and how you're different. I mean, what what's an example from your perspective on a recent barrier that you broke down, or something historically that you'd like to share?
I would probably say with my last job, which was my first ever like IT technician position, it was very much
Okay.
male dominated, very much talking about, which is not bad, like just video games and just other stuff that
Mm.
I guess you could say like the stereotypical IT person would talk about.
Right.
So I really just came in just very colorful. I have my skirts, I have my dresses, I have my hair, and just really being unapologetic about the way that I look and knowing that that might not be the norm in the environment, but I can change that norm for the good. And just having like female energy in that particular space, it was never like they never had a female technician to work in that space before. So that was also another aspect. So definitely shifting the dynamic and just breaking down a barrier for the next person who they may hire, like not only give a woman of color a chance, but just give women a chance period to work for you guys, because it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. How was that received? So you came in with your outfits and your hair and the female energy. How was
Mhm.
it received? And what I mean, how did you feel going in that way?
Well, during the interview, that's when I had my purple hair, so I was already a little bit
Ah, nice.
self-conscious about it.
Okay. That
Um,
was in the interview? That's
yeah,
fantastic. That is fantastic. I love the boldness of that, Sierra.
thank you. Yeah, so that was during the interview. Of course, no one's going to be like, wow, at first when you're on an interview with somebody. But once I got into the position, I actually got to talk to my boss. He was like, that was like, he said, like on the lines of, that interview was something that he never experienced before, but it wasn't like a bad experience. It was a good experience. And he was just like, he got like a vibe from me from just like speaking about like what I wanted to do in the field, how I came to the field, and what I'm going to bring to the field. So I think I kind of lost sight of the question a little bit,
No,
but
no, you didn't. So it was like, how did you feel going into that? And you also described how he felt. Did he
mhm.
share with you? I mean, it's like, did he share the vibe, or you just said vibe?
So he shared it with me. He is very mindful boss. He practices a lot of mindfulness, and he definitely does recognizes different frequencies within the room that people bring. So he was just really excited to
Mm.
have me. He saw a lot more in me that I actually saw in myself, because it is a little bit scary. Like I've never been in an environment with just all males. They've all been in the IT field for X
For a
amount of
while,
time.
right? For
Right.
a long time,
So
yeah.
it's like, am I going to be challenged, or am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be rejected? Like, what is going to happen? Because the interview only tells you, it won't even tell you like even half of the environment or the characters that are in the space at the time. So I was a little bit anxious, but I was also
Mm.
excited because it was my first actual tech job.
And how long ago was that, Sarah, that you had that interview?
How long ago? I would say
Yeah.
about 3 months.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now how is your energy and how is your presence received based on your approach?
I would say, I mean, you definitely know when I'm in the room. I'm still trying to just figure out how I do want to present myself, because I don't want to
Mhm,
be too overbearing to people, but at the end of the day,
mhm.
you're not going to ignore me, and I am here. So it's like you can't ignore me. So I'm just trying to find like an easy middle ground to not, you know, intimidate anybody, but also say like I'm here, I'm on par with everyone else and can be, and if not exceed that. So
And do you find that um oh, now I lost my train of thought. Let me go somewhere else. So I'm talking about the breaking down of barriers. So I'm working with a new client right now, and I had a meeting this morning where I'm new to this group, and I've not worked with these people before. I'm presenting something that they may not necessarily like, right? So it's like, I don't know how this is going to go.
mhm.
And one of the techniques I use in this particular conversation was checking in with them regularly to say, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have any thoughts? Do you have any suggestions? And people would pepper in information, but at the end, it felt right to ask for their blessing.
Mhm.
Meaning, so we were going to take this on to senior leadership. So we said, where I said, do we have your blessing? Are you, based on what you've seen, the fact that we're going to include you in the conversation and we want to take this forward, are you giving us a thumbs yes or a thumbs down or I don't know, maybe?
Mhm.
And each of them said, yep, 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 yep. So I don't know if what other approaches do you use to break down those barriers? I mean, the energy you talked about, and your presence, being different. Do you have any other suggestions that you would give folks?
Um, I would say just definitely take a deep breath and understand who you are, and that you can really do or say anything within, good reason, but
Reason.
just
Yeah.
believe enough in yourself and your ability. Because at the end of the day, other people, when you first meet them, they really don't know. So, I mean, that's the opportunity to really tell them, like, this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table, and this is what I have to say. I noticed that a lot of people are kind of just a little bit scared because they don't know how the other
Hmm.
person will feel about whatever they want to say, but think about yourself first. Think about what it means to you to get it off your chest and to get it off your heart. And it'll just make so much more of a difference. I don't know. It's like, you're going to shake a little bit. You're going to be scared. But once you actually get it out, you'll just feel so much better about things. So just getting it out and just believing in yourself and how far you've come to get to the point that this person or they are into, like, right now.
And so I remember what I was going to say earlier. So
Mm-hmm.
in the interview process or in these conversations where you're working with people that are older, that have been in the industry for a longer period of time, I don't know, let's say there's 5 or 6 people in the conversation, how do you speak up in the moment? I mean, you talk about the fear, right? Because you might have the jitters or like, hey, should I say this? How's it going to be received?
Mm-hmm.
How do you take that step to verbalize your thoughts and opinions on whatever subject?
I talk to myself a lot in the mirror. So I would say just getting comfortable with just saying it just whenever out loud or write it down before. Now, if it's just like in the moment, sometimes I'm just kind of like, fudge it or whatever. This is what I have to say, and I'm just going to put it out there because, it'll just make a difference when you actually say it then and there. Like sometimes you just kind of got to be like, F stuff and just like go out and
Yeah,
say,
right, exactly. No, that's true. That comes out of my mouth too. I actually
yeah.
said that. I dropped the F bomb in a meeting yesterday. Like, oh well. I was passionate about it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can't prepare for like talking to yourself about it or in the mirror, or like if you have like a support group that you can talk about it, I mean, within good reason, you just have to be like, F it, this is what I feel, this is what I have to say, and this is what it is. So they can either take it or leave it at that point.
I love the mirror concept. That's a good idea. So if if you're preparing, like for an interview or something else that's big and you're nervous, you can do that in the mirror. I love that idea. And one of the pardon me, one of the ideas that we've used with some of our clients is if they're having some apprehension of speaking up in a meeting, then find in the first 10 minutes of that meeting, find something that you can interject. And then they have there's a time limit for them to actually participate or comment in some way, so that then it's just a little step for them to gain interaction on how to get involved. So breaking down barriers in IT. What are some of the other things that you've seen that you've had to figure out how to do that nobody taught you how to do in that sense?
I would say probably just other like technological concepts. I noticed that not a lot of IT people know how to train other IT people. It's kind of hard for them to do that for some reason, because they may be so good, or they may have been self-taught. However, they don't know how to fully explain something in a way that doesn't use a lot of technical jargon, so everyone can understand it. And so I know how to talk to people, and I'm very good at putting myself into other people's shoes. So I'm going to talk to you as if at one point in time I didn't understand. So I had to teach myself, and then I had to regurgitate it back to someone else. I'm just always going to keep that in the back of my mind. And I feel like that's one thing. Yeah, people.
That's a really good example. That's a really good example, because I think you're right. I mean, people lose sight of what it's like to do something new, or being the new kid on the block. And so that's an excellent frame of reference or lens to look through to break down a barrier, to look through their lens and wear the newbie hat, or I know nothing about this subject whatsoever. Right. So coming to it from a clean slate. So what's cool about that is you're not talking above someone, right? You're not using all the jargon, or you're not saying stuff that they don't understand, and then you've left them behind, and then it's probably more natural for them to go, I'm just not going to say anything because I am totally lost and I'm afraid that they're going to run over me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really like that approach. Um, so I would love to know,
Mhm.
what is what do you see? So you talked about the branding.
Mhm.
You talked about showcasing how you're different. I mean, you do your help desk during the day and your cybersecurity at night. You're juggling all these balls. Um, what would you say to people, and those that are watching or those that are going to watch this later, around why that's important? Why do you think it's important to showcase your brand and show how you're different than other people?
Because I feel like in a tech world that's telling you one thing of how you have to be and how that's like kind of strict and also professional and what people should look like, you should always have someone else that goes way against that, and to know that you can go against the norm, you can be different than the norm and still be successful. So you can have
Mm.
whatever type of hair color you want, be whatever shape you want, come wherever you want, and you can still be successful, even though that's not heavily displayed at the time. So I mean, I'm a chubby black girl from Detroit. I've had like orange, pink, purple hair, just got into the IT field, and I'm still successful. Like, I'm still getting seats at the table, I'm still getting opportunities. And I feel like that's just so important to showcase and show people so we can have more people that look like me and not like me making it up to the table and like getting these positions and things of that nature.
That actually raises a good question for me. What would you say to the folks that say, I can't get a seat at the table? What would you
I
say to
would
those folks?
I would say that they can't get a seat at the table. I would say find people who you can make your own table with. I bring
Ooh,
all your
that is a mic drop moment, Sierra. Nice. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's okay. Because I mean, not every table you may not want to eat from. The people at the table you might not vibe with, but you can make an even bigger table with a bigger meal with a lot better people. So I mean, that's what I had to do. I had to like when I was first starting off, I had to find my group and clique of people who were
Mhm.
trying to accomplish the same things that I wanted to accomplish, and they came from kind of like the same background as me. We all have the mindset that we are entry level, we don't have a lot of experience, but we can still
Mhm.
make something of ourselves. And we had our own damn table. I mean, we sitting and drinking, we high class, so we making it. We have
I love
jobs.
that. You know, and this then dovetails into what you said earlier as far as you show up with your, purple hair and your outfits, and
Mhm.
if they don't like that or they have an issue with it, that may not be your table, right?
Mhm.
They may not be your people. Is that accurate or inaccurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. They can either, I mean, love you or hate you at that point. I mean, you don't get to pick what you don't like about someone. Oh, we don't like that about you. We don't like this about you. Like, don't get to nitpick like that. You either take somebody in full or you don't take them at all. You're like, you can leave. No cash out for that person. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, that's a fun question.
I would
You
say,
don't
like,
have
what has your experience been like in your field? Did you have any barriers? Have they been broken down? Are they still up for you?
That's a really good question. So I think so. I have a background in IT as well, and I have been in that field since, I'm going to date myself, the mid '90s, Sierra. Ah, and I had. This is a funny story. You actually will love the story because my first job out of college, I went to school for electronics engineering, so I did a lot of com- printer repair and computer repair, laptops, stuff like that. And I was excited to get started. Right, I've never not been in the field at all, and one of my first interviews was with a dude that. So I show up in interview garb, and he's there in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and he goes, I should have told you that this was casual. I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't have dressed down anyway, but that's all right. So we had a fantastic dialogue, and I mean, it was field service. So at the time, it's field service for DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and it was all guys. There were no women on his team whatsoever. None.
Mhm.
Zero. Well, I was so comfortable with this guy that I dropped the F bomb in an interview. And because I mean I'm a fan of that word. And so it just came out. And then I'm like, oh, sorry. I guess, yeah, sorry, got really comfortable. He's like, no, no, it's totally cool. It's good. So I did wind up getting hired from that company. And I think 3 months later, he asked me, he said, how are you doing? What's going on? I'm like, I'm loving this. This is fantastic. And he goes, you do know why I hired you, right? And I said, because I'm awesome. He goes, well, yes, that's true. However, it's because you dropped the F bomb in the interview. I'm like, what? He goes, I knew, hands down, once you said that, you weren't going to take any shit from these guys. You were going to stand on your own. You're going to stand up for yourself. You're going to get stuff done. And you're not going to worry about the dudes around you. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty true.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I found that, I found that the IT field is a huge, as far as the balance of women and men, is more men than women, and it's actually growing. I mean, that's improving, and there's still, I think there's still some barriers, but I think that to your point, how I've been successful in any industry, because now we do a lot of we still have a hand in IT, but we also do education and coaching and the like.
Mhm.
Um, we it's the boldness, it's the knowing who you are, understanding and standing on your own 2 feet, being willing to be vulnerable and saying so, I just dropped it yesterday, right? For Because I was passionate about the topic, and I wanted people to understand what was going on, and you don't have to do that all the time, but you got to know your audience, right? So I would say I think, I don't know if, did that answer your question? Did
Yeah.
I answer the question? Okay. This has been so fun, Tara. I don't have any other questions. I think that we meandered through this conversation delightfully. I think that there's a lot of really good insights, and I love the table analogy. That is fantastic. And I can see others, when they're frustrated and they don't feel like they have a seat at the table. Yeah, that might not be their table. Find their
Right.
tribe. Find the people that you want to actually sit with, because it might not be them.
Right.
Fantastic. Any final thing? Oh, I want to. How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out, and if they want to learn more about what you do, and maybe they want some support?
Yeah, no problem. Definitely through LinkedIn. So Sierra Bentley, colorful help desk technician by day, cybersecurity professional by night, and then I do answer my DMs. I'm very active on there. Any support that's needed, I definitely will give it. No charge, no questions asked. I'm here for people.
I love
Like
that.
honestly, here for people.
I know. I see that. You are showing up, my dear. And thank you for showing up here. Thank you for participating, because the way I look at these is, if somebody takes away one tidbit, if there's one
Mhm.
person that takes away one tidbit from this, then we've done our jobs, right? We've
Great.
collectively done our jobs. Well, do you have a big day ahead of you?
I have class today. Yep.
Oh,
Also,
no,
I'm a student, so
what class? Which class?
basic electronics repair. I'm almost done, so this is one of those
Mm.
classes that I need to get out the way. So, yeah.
Nice, nice. That takes me back to some of the other stuff I did when I was younger. Thank you so much, Sierra. I really appreciate the time, and I look forward to chatting with you online. And you are a beautiful human being.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was an
Of
amazing
course.
experience.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Good time. Thank you, Sierra, and you have a wonderful